What's going on, people? Myke C-Town here with another Dead in Hip Hop solo album review, and today I'm talking about the newest EP from Sadistik entitled Delirium. Sadistik is a rapper from Seattle, but he currently lives out in LA. I've been listening to him for years now, ever since Chesky put me on to his Flowers for My Father album, and I've covered every project that he's done since then, and yeah, we're gonna keep that going. I usually don't talk about every single song on a project, but since this is only 6 songs, I figured I might as well. So this starts off with the song Ultra, and it's produced by Inochi, a producer I'm not familiar with at all, but this beat is amazing. It's dark, the buzzed out bass sounds super hard, and the way it starts off with the Night of the Living Dead sample, and it has what almost sounds like an alarm sound, but then that alarm sound kind of carries its way throughout the rest of the song. It's really, really cool. And as much as I loved Haunted Gardens with the airy, subdued atmosphere that it had, I like these really loud and super hard songs that Sadistik does as well. I actually tend to like them even more, I think. But he immediately lets loose with this super crazy rhyming, and I've always liked the way faster rhyming sounds, especially the tongue twister style that some rappers do, but my issue a lot of times is the bars just aren't there. You know, in order to make the rhyming work, a lot of these rappers will just throw out a bunch of bullshit word salad that really has absolutely no meaning. But that's never an issue with Sadistik. I don't think he ever wastes a word when he rhymes, and he really snaps on this song. Not innocent, knotted in sin, nocturnal nights, knotted to sense, Nas with the pen, monster within. And as you listen along, it seems that this song almost feels like a take on anxiety and paranoia. You know, not wanting to be around people or not trusting people. The Plague is a song that dropped a little bit before the EP did, and it's funny that it came out around the time that the world was losing its collective minds over this COVID-19 shit. And I could see how someone might initially think that it's about that in particular. But at first, I kind of took it to be a take on Christianity and the abuse that it's been spreading in the name of God. But after repeated listens to the entirety of the EP, it feels like he's relating people in general to a plague. You know, not people carrying a plague, but people themselves being a plague. I could be wrong, of course, but that's the way I took it. But either way, this chorus is really dope. The bodies still litter the plain, the water's been tinted with stains, your God is indifferent to pain, you all think you're different, you're not all that different, all of us fit in a grave. My initial thoughts was this seemed to be a comment on religious people's tendency to believe that they're more important than the rest of us, but what Sadistik seems to be saying here is you're not any better than the rest of us, we all die the same. And I mean, there are parts of the song that do seem like they could relate to the COVID situation, and Sadistik's concepts on his songs sometimes get really complex, so my interpretation here could be completely wrong. Any way you look at it, it's a really dope song, from production to lyrics, everything. The song Hell Is Where the Heart is absolutely beautiful. The production is really nice. It almost takes me back kind of to what he was doing on Haunted Gardens, and the way it starts with this distorted piano works really well, especially once the rapping comes in. This is one of those songs that seems to be a stream of consciousness thing where Sadistik's letting us into either his brain or the character he's representing's brain and giving us a glimpse into how it works sometimes. I don't love the way I feel some days, but I feel the way I love. Seems to be him saying that he feels shitty mentally, and he really can't help that the way he expresses his emotions is based on that. I also like the way the song ends, because this line is really good. Never was one to just blend in a crowd, let it be known that we're desolate, destined to drown. Pet Sematary is probably my favorite song on here. The beat is really dark and creepy. It has what sounds like a ruan sample through it. Ruans are those Chinese guitars, and it blends in really, really nicely. The flows he uses on this song sound really great over it, especially on that second verse. Put a bullet in your brain that'll open up your third eye, smoking on a strain till I'm floating where the birds fly, worm-like, searching through the dirt with a searchlight, showing off my fangs before they poke into the nerves like. Sad the Impaler. Wow, this beat is amazing. Probably my favorite beat on the whole EP. It's a collaboration between 2 different producers is what I'm understanding. A producer named Ginseng and another PRXZ. I have no idea how you pronounce that, but it's really loud, really jarring, it's noisy, but it also has this melodic singing voice that floats behind the aggressive sound that gives it this really haunting vibe. And I love the way Sadistik raps on this. I got a knife in my pocket, want to meet it. I can paint it with some blood, want to see it. I call it abstract expressionism, looking like The Exorcist. I bet their heads will spin indefinitely like the devil's in them. This whole song feels like a trip through someone's manic episode, and the beat he chose for it is absolutely perfect because the way it progresses, it feels the exact same way. It goes right along with the theme of the song. The last song on the EP is Aileen Wuornos, and this is a really interesting one. For those of you that don't know, Aileen Wuornos was a serial killer from the late 80s, early 90s who was basically born into a rough life. I won't get into all the details. There's a couple of documentaries that you can watch. There's also a movie called Monster with Charlize Theron and Christina Ricci that, from what I've read, seems to be a pretty accurate account from Aileen's standpoint. You can also read all kinds of stuff on the net about her, but it's really hard to push the idea of having sympathy for a serial killer. But with her, I've always kind of had that sentiment, going through her life without really feeling a sense of love or belonging, to meet a woman that she falls in absolute love with, who eventually betrays her all so she can save herself. It's an absolutely tragic story. So Sadistik writing a song like this was really intriguing to me, and this line here is great. They tied you down and made the needle slide in, crucified you like your Jesus Christ, poison plunged until your secrets died, then they bloomed inside me like a dream of mine. It's especially interesting when you consider what her last words were. Yes, I would like to say I'm sailing with the rock and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus. June 6th like the movie, big mothership and all, I'll be back, I'll be back. So I'd like to think that the alluding to Jesus Christ here was intentional. The production on the song is really pretty. It makes it almost feel like the song is a love letter more than the statement of sympathy that it actually seems to be. This whole EP is perfect for the times that we're in. From song to song, it's like moving through the thoughts of someone stuck in isolation. You know, whether it's this government imposed isolation that we have now, or it's a self-imposed isolation due to some sort of phobia. This idea of being stuck inside is repeatedly mentioned throughout the EP. And ending the entire EP with Aileen Wuornos, you know, a song about a woman who spent a decade in prison, you know, a sort of isolation in itself, only to be put to death. I don't know if it was intentional, but the results feel that way. The fact that the EP is called Delirium really lends to the feeling of a person on the brink of a manic episode. This person's thoughts of desperation, their thoughts of depression, then feelings of murder, and their sympathy with a serial killer. It all feels like this whole EP is a representation of the myriad of thoughts that would go through the head of someone going through this. And Sadistik likes to incorporate elements from horror movies into his songs, which I always appreciate, but those references seem really effective here if you consider that you're dealing with a manic mind. These thoughts of anxiousness and paranoia can lead to thoughts of violence. And whether or not that's what Sadistik was going for here, it feels that way, and therefore it really works well for me. But anyway you look at it, this EP is fantastic. So far, one of my favorite projects to come out this year. The only gripe I have is it's a bit short because you really want more because it's that good. I know he's dropping another EP at some other point this year, so I'll definitely be looking forward to that because, you know, Sadistik is easily one of my favorite hip-hop artists right now, and since I started listening to him with Flowers from My Father, he hasn't slipped a bit, you know? I feel like he's only getting better. He's definitely one of the most consistent rappers in the game right now, and this EP is a testament to all of that. So if you have not heard it, I'll include some links down there in the description section for you to check it out. If you have heard it, jump on into the comment section. Let's talk about it, man. Let me know what you guys are thinking about it. Let me know what concepts that you guys are pulling from it. But yeah, As usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you, and I'll see you guys next time. All right? Peace out, boy!